Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hey guys. Hey Jason. Hope you're doing well. Hey everyone, whether you're watching me on, let me see, Facebook and YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Hey everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just making sure I'm sharing it everywhere I need to share it. If you would like to share that, I would love if you could just share the live stream or tag somebody anywhere, somewhere. Hope everybody's doing well and having a good Monday. I've got some new things that are happening in the month of July that I'm going to share with you today and also talk about this topic. Is my success pushing men away? I get a lot of women that ask me this question, and so I want to definitely talk about that today. If you can hear me and see me, let me know in the comments. If you can hear me and see me, let me know in the comments, and we should be good to go. Yes, hope everybody's doing well. Okay. All right, so it looks like everybody can hear me and see me well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rachel-Yvonne, and today we're talking about this topic of, is your success pushing him away? Is your success pushing him away? And if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see the banner with the title on it. And if you're watching on, let me see, if you're watching on TikTok and Instagram, you can't see it, but you can see the title. And we're going to talk about this today. Is my success pushing men away? All right. Uh, okay. Yeah. Jason says, yes, we can hear you and see you. I'm attracted to success because I am successful. I guess unsuccessful men would find success unattractive. That's a very good point. So we're going to definitely get into that as we get a little bit deeper into this topic. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about me and why I love to do these conversations, why I love to talk about these things. I am just super excited to have this conversation with you all. So definitely continue to write comments in wherever you're watching me. If you're watching me on Instagram or TikTok, YouTube or Facebook, you can write comments and we can definitely have a conversation around whatever it is that we're going to be talking about today. So we're talking about this idea of, is my success as a woman pushing him away? Now, there are some women who do believe this because I do get asked this question quite a lot. They say to me, do men who see me do things online or, in person, and they see lots of people talk to me or whatever, do they get intimidated by that type of thing? And I think it's a really good thing to think about. It's definitely a good subject, and it's definitely something that we need to look into because oftentimes there are more reasons why this is being said. There are more reasons than just you being successful. And just like Jason has written in the comments on Instagram, on Facebook, he said that he's attracted to successful women because he's successful. And you've got to kind of like check out what that actually looks like for you and why that matters. And what I've realized is knowing who you are is what really matters the most. But we're going to get into it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I've got all my things going on. So my name is Rachel-Yvonne McIntosh, and you may have seen me in different platforms or different places. But the main thing that I love to help high standard women attract and marry the right man by using biblical femininity, godly standards, and staying covered. I'm all about making sure you never settle for confusion again. And so I talk about biblical femininity, sacred softness, and kingdom wisdom. I use a lot of things from the Bible, and these conversations that we have online are where I like to talk about positioning yourself for covenant, not confusion. And we're talking today about this idea of, does my success push men away? Does my success push men away? And I have a few things to say around the subject. And I have a couple of things that I also want to share with you that you can join me in that I am doing. But ultimately, let's get into today's topic. If you have any questions as well, you're welcome to put them down in the comments. So if you're watching me Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, feel free to write in the comments if you have any questions or anything like that. So here is what I've come to understand about this idea of a woman who is successful. You've built the brand, we talk about securing the bag, healing your inner child, you're tithing, you're glowing all the way up. But sometimes you're wondering, is my success the reason why I'm single? And one of the things I've noticed is that this is a talking point by certain type of men online. There are certain types of men who try to act as though if you're successful, you're undesirable. If you're successful, a man's not going to want you. But your success has nothing to do with it. And I'm going to tell you something that maybe you may not have heard from a preacher before. You may not have heard from someone like me before. Hey, Adele, you may not have heard anything like this from anybody like me, but your success is not the problem. Your energy around the success is. I'm always asking women. So a lot of the women that I coach, they're like multiple six-figure earners, whether they've got a business or they're in their careers. These are wealthy women that come into my communities. And oftentimes I will always ask them, what is the reason for such and such? Like there's this meme that I remember seeing some time ago where it said that in particular, a black woman, when a black woman goes for a breakup or a divorce, one of the next things she does is get another degree. One of the things a black woman does after she gets a divorce or a breakup is go to get another degree. And so it made me think about something. And there were a lot of people in the comments that agreed and were like, ha, 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 this is so relatable. This is what I did, and etc. And I realized that the main reason around that is around self-worth and proving who you are as a woman. Yeah, so your energy around your success. If you feel like you need to prove yourself by getting another degree, by buying another house, by doing any of those things, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. The energy around your success is what is repelling, not the fact that you're successful. Do you ever, well, I don't think you've hardly ever, I don't want to say never ever because, there's never absolutes, but have you ever really seen me talk about success in my own personal success or anything like that? And if I ever do, it's all in relation to a bigger story. And so when your success is when your success is how you find your identity, then you're going to have an energy around you that does give off that you need to prove yourself. So it's not about your success, not your careers, not your degrees, not your bank balance. It's a posture that you're adopted. And while building, it may be closing the door to opportunities and experiences that may be the very thing that you're praying for. For example, oftentimes when I'm speaking to a man who's like, got a lot going on, maybe he's got like a group of churches. Say, for example, he's a man in ministerial leadership, say a bishop or something, like, or some sort of powerful figure in the church. I'm going to use that example because that's my most common example that I can use for my own life personally. You can use whatever example makes sense for your life. So that's what makes sense for my life. So if I'm talking to a man and he's like an overseer, for example, of churches or something like that, or he's been in ministry a lot longer than me, or he's done a lot more things, or blah, 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 we're having a conversation. But in the conversation, there's something that we're talking about that I have great experience in, or I have a really good insight that I know will be great for him to listen to in that conversation. Then I will listen, and I never try to come across like I'm the expert, even though on that particular topic, I might know more than him. I might be positioned to give him the answer that he's looking for, but I make sure that I listen. So you're listening in the conversation, waiting for a gap to respond, and then I'm going to present it. But I'm always going to be like, and anybody that has spoken to me, I mean, obviously they're probably not going to say on this live or in this post, but they already know that when I say something, it's always coming from this place of honor and respect. Because as I always tell you, do not even entertain or talk to men that you don't respect, or you don't admire, or you don't honor naturally without any proving. That makes sense. So if there's someone, for example, we're online, right? So we're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, right? So if there's someone that you follow, for example, a public figure that you follow, and you follow them for like because you enjoy the way they speak or you enjoy their insights, obviously you already respect them. So there is a level of respect that even if you move the conversation to the DMs or they DM'd you and wanted to meet you or whatever, there's already a level of respect and honor because you're already kind of following their work for that reason. Does that make sense? So for me, I don't understand why a woman would ever speak to a man that you don't already respect or you kind of like admire, already have a natural honor for them. Does that make sense? So then that is one of the issues that will help you even in this space of, am I repelling men by my success? So masculine men, godly masculine men, which are the only type of men that we are interested in. So my content is for a very specific type of man and a specific type of woman. So if it doesn't align or you don't agree, you have permission to leave my lives. You have permission to go and follow somebody else. You have my permission to go and talk to somebody else because I'm very specific and I don't need like public agreement or anything. I'm just sharing what I know to be true. So first of all, masculine godly men are not intimidated by fruit at all. They're drawn to feminine rest. And as well as they're drawn to women who actually walk in their purpose, who are powerful in their own right, and who aren't afraid to walk in their purpose. If he is intimidated by you, by your success, it's because he himself has issues around his own personal success. And that's really the bottom line. He himself has issues around his own personal success, and it is a projection onto you. So some people have been told that, oh, strong, smart, successful, wealthy women scare men off. It's not true. That's only if we're talking about immature, insecure, and non-visionary men. So already I've eliminated all of those types of men from this conversation. So if a man has a lack of success, a lack of personal ambition, is insecure and has no vision, he's already not a part of this conversation. Men who don't have divine assignments, men who don't carry covering, who you can see without even really talking to them in a deep way, have something that you know you could be comfortable coming under. Obviously, there are more details. But the man that God has for you, a kingdom man, is not looking for a damsel in distress. He's looking for a helper that's suitable. The Bible talks about a helper fit for him. The Bible talks about this idea of the Hebrew is Isa Kanigo, which means that it's a woman who is a helper fit for him, his divine counterpart, his essential companion. So it's about, what do you have that's essential for him? He's looking for someone who's suitable, a woman who reigns in her own lane, but knows how to rest in his presence without performing for his space. So if you notice how you feel when you're around them. So if you're around them and you know you can let go, like, have you ever seen those videos where a woman will be like, she'll do all the things when her husband's not at home. As soon as he gets home, it's like she can't do anything. That's how I feel when I'm around the right kind of person. It's always like, oh, I don't need to do anything. I don't have to think. You know what I mean? And it's like they take on that element of structure, and you get to listen, you get to glean, you get to follow, but not following blindly. And I think that's what's missing from this conversation, and that's what I hope to bring to this conversation. But if your success makes you operate in more masculine energy, hyper controlling energy, then yes, you will naturally repel a masculine man, because two kings can't marry. Someone has to be, the second in command, as it were. And so if you struggle with that, that's something that you have to look inwards and really kind of see. So the next thing about this, it's not about what you do, it's about what you emit. It's how you are as a woman. You can still be powerful, you can still be strong, you can still be successful, you can still have purpose, but also ask questions. Find out what it is that you're supposed to be doing in this moment. And it can seem like a small thing, but I was in a role over the last week at this my church conference that I was at, my church convocation. And it's always in a position of, hey, what is it that I need to do right now? What is it I need to do right now? Where do I need to be right now? What is it that is needed of me in this moment? And then I can respond with my level of expertise. But it's never about what you say, it's about how you say it. Godly men of power aren't looking for proof, they're looking for presence. They don't want a resume, they're looking for revelation. They want to know, are you the woman that they've been praying about? They're not thinking about whether you can handle life on your own. They know you can, because obviously you're living, right? You're alive, you're doing things, you're already doing things. But what their main question is, can she handle my leadership with grace, honor, and soft influence? Like, is she a woman that I can work with? Is she a woman that will talk about me in a great way when I'm not in the room? Is she a woman that gossips about me to her friends and tells them every little thing I've done, and is always running to her friends with negativity about me? Is she a woman that can speak well of me when I'm not there? And those are things that we really have to look at from both sides. And I've said to you this before, that a man who is able to recommend you to his friends for things is a man that actually believes in you and thinks that you're worthy of his name. Because, and I know, gents, I know I'm going to get a bunch of DMs after this of you, sharing your thoughts about what I've shared here today. And I always really appreciate the feedback that you all send me when you come back and say, yes, Rachel, what you said was true, or you have questions about what I shared, or you give me scenarios or whatever. And I really appreciate that. And I find that a lot of women aren't thinking about these questions. And these are the questions that I want to share with you ladies, that you would know, that will position you much better. So you've got to answer this question. Are you performing for love or positioning for legacy? Because two different ways of handling things will bring you two very different results. Very different results. So there can be a moment in your own life where you have to relearn what is the correct posture. What is the correct posture? And I want to take a moment for you guys to think about this. Like, I want you to think about this for a second. It's watermelon is lovely. Let me just check the comments for a second. Hey, Instagram, hey, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Do me a favor, actually. Can you guys drop some hearts on the live? Wherever you're watching me from, can you just drop some emojis? Yeah, that would be really helpful. All right, so let me just wrap this up. I've got a couple more things to say, and then we're going to end. All right. If you have any questions, as I said, drop them in the comments. There's a question box on Instagram, and on TikTok, you can just write the questions. Facebook, YouTube, just write the questions. You can DM me as well if you don't want to write it in public, and then I'll be able to see it. I can see it while I'm live, so it's fine. So here's what I know to be true, is that you have to relearn posture. So maybe other women have told you other things in your life. So I was talking to, even one of my friends, we were talking about this just yesterday, and we're talking about other women in, her family and whatever, and what she learned about femininity and being a woman. Hey, happy Monday. What she learned about being a woman and femininity, and how to speak to men from women in her family, and how it was always harsh. It was always mean. It was always, I know better. And that is something that we often have to unlearn, especially if we come from families where there weren't a lot of strong male figures. Yeah, strong male figures, that where there are a lot of strong male figures in your family. I mean, strong women figures, and there are no male figures. Sometimes the women in the family ends up being strong and very tough and hard. And that's what we have to learn from. We have to break those. Yeah, it's sad that people don't want to ask the question, Andrew. And I think that in order for us to have successful marriages, successful friendships, even in the working space, the reason why I'm able to work well with certain types of men, even in a business space, a ministry space, is because you've got to know your role. I feel like that was something from WWE back in the day. where one of them used to say, know your role. Someone tell me which wrestler used to say that, but one of the wrestlers used to say, know your role or slow your roll, something like that. Anyway, but you've got to know your role and not be intimidated. Like, I know when you know who you are and you don't need external validation, it means that The Rock, that's right. The Rock used to say, thanks, Bryson. The Rock used to say that. That's right. And you've got to understand that when you know who you are, when you know who you attract by embodying your worth, your softness, and your spiritual discernment. When the world is full of performance and pressure, like everybody else is trying to perform, why do you need to perform? And it's something that comes from inside of you, and then it becomes portrayed and shown on the outside. Who you are as a woman is always going to show up. So the way that even in a disagreement, so say we had a disagreement, I don't really have the many disagreements, but when there is a disagreement, the way that I approach a disagreement sometimes can be unsettling, because I'm like, wait, hold on, that's not true. Why do you think that? Or where did that come from? And you've got to make sure that you aren't coming from a place that is defensive, but rather from a place of, wait, I know who I am. I know that I am this type of woman. And so where did that come from? And sometimes even how men will speak to you will be based on what they're used to experiencing. So how other women in their family have behaved, how a woman they used to be with used to behave. And sometimes I've had to say, hey, I am not like XYZ. And if you're going to speak to me about this topic, or you want to address something with me, then you need to take every other woman out of the equation and just deal with how you know me to be. And unfortunately, in this conversation of, is my success pushing men away? Because some men have experienced women who are combative, women who are defensive, women who are argumentative, they automatically think that's how you're going to be. And so it's about the unlearning and the relearning from the perspective of, I am a godly woman, I know who I am, and when I know that I'm a wife, I only behave and position myself as such. And so the final thing I want to say to you today is, when you know who you are, I've learned to stop wondering if I was too much, and really understood that, yeah, actually, I'm going to be a bit much for some people. And yeah, exactly, Bryson, it does take a lot of self-awareness from the man. And I'm always of the opinion and belief and feeling that I love to give a man opportunity to be himself, and not come into the conversation or the situation with any preconceived notions or ideas of what men should be or men should do. And then I want to always give that person permission to respond to what's being said, as well as I'm always checking to see, am I able to respond to what's being said as well? And so I love to help women kind of address these kind of scenarios, these situations. And really, if you're watching this as a woman and you've been asking yourself some questions while you've been watching this live, then I've got a few things that I have going on. I've got a book that is available for pre-order online, which is called I Am the Upgrade. And it talks about how to be his only option, his answered prayer. And it's a really good book, and you can pre-order it. It's $8 now. It comes out tomorrow, but you get it for $8 on the pre-order. If you go to my link tree is scrolling along the bottom here on YouTube and Facebook, and my link tree is in my bio on Instagram and TikTok. So 3 things I want to share with you. Number 1 is my new book, I Am the Upgrade. How to be his only option, the woman that he upgrades to, his answered prayer, all the things. It's a great book. I'm putting so much in this book, and it's going to be out tomorrow, but you can get it for $8 today. The second thing I'm doing is, in the month of July, we have this experience called Holy and Hot. And it is about knowing that you can both be holy and hot. You don't have to choose between being attractive and being godly. And we don't have to choose between being sacred and having seduction, So we're talking about feminine presence and prophetic power for the whole of July. So if you want to be a part of Holy and Hot, you can join it now for $44. And the link is all there as well. And then the other thing, if you'd like more detailed coaching with me, I have a program called She's a Wife, which is a pre-marriage refinement for the woman who's ready to become marriage material before the ring. And so in closing today, I want to let all the ladies know that your success is not what's repelling him. It is more about your mindset, your positioning, how you speak about your success, and whether your success is really what you feel makes you the woman. If you are a woman, you do not need to rely on your success in order to be seen as beautiful, powerful, whatever. A man who is purposeful, a man who is in his purpose and has self-awareness and is a godly masculine man, the only type of men that we talk about here in this community, then you will know that he will never be intimidated by your success. Your energy now might be saying something very different. All right. So my name is Rachel-Yvonne McIntosh, and I'm going to end this live stream now. But send me a message if you have any questions or you're interested in hearing more about anything that I'm doing. All right. So God bless everyone. I'll say bye to YouTube and Facebook.